going on, everyone? So ever since the Phoenix Suns traded for Kevin Durant, there has been a lot of hype on Phoenix, right? Many people are saying, just hand the Phoenix Suns the championship trophy now. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, it's over. They were able to keep DeAndre Ayton on top of that. So now they got this big four. They got this monstrous four. Who's stopping them? Who's beating these guys, right? And look, on the surface, on paper, this team is terrifying. And they are going to be an absolute tough out. They are going to be a team that is going to be very difficult to beat because now you have three guys who can operate in the mid-range, knock it down from the three ball, and just close and finish games. All three of these guys, and Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, are all very efficient guys, and just adds this layer of scoring. And you still have Ayton, who they could jump the ball down to, and he could go get some buckets. Although, I don't think Ayton's going to be a Sun for very long. I really think in the offseason, they look to move Ayton to kind of upgrade this team and kind of put better pieces around this team, primarily depth, just because right now they couldn't really trade him. So he has a stipulation because he was a matched contract for a restricted free agent. He has veto power in any trade. So let's say Phoenix wanted to trade Ayton to the Pacers or whatever for like a bunch of depth, right? A bunch of wing guys, let's say 3 players, right? If he doesn't want to go to the Pacers, then he just says, no, I ain't doing that. I don't want to be a Pacer. I want to go to whatever, the Knicks. And let's say the Knicks are like, well, we're only going to give you, Evan Fournier, right? So that's where the dilemma lies for Phoenix. So they were able to talk into, hey, we need a center. We need a big man. So we're going to keep Ayton, and we're able to give up a bunch of stuff. But here's the thing. If they don't win a championship with this team, Phoenix is in a lot of trouble for a very long time. So they have this team very likely for the next 2 or 3 years. So they have time. Personally, I don't think that this trade was for this year. Yes, if you could win this year, the West is so wide open. It is very possible that they come out the West as they are currently constructed, without a doubt. Like, if they ended up winning a championship this year, I don't think anybody would be surprised, right? Because they have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. That in and of itself should be enough to win you a championship. But there are more things, especially come playoffs, where things become a big factor. There's also the concern of injuries, right? I mean, none of these guys are very reliable injury-wise. Devin Booker's missed a lot of time. Kevin Durant, I believe, is still missing time. Chris Paul, he's been unreliable. In the playoffs, I mean, there have been lots of times where Chris Paul is just completely absent, doesn't show up. There's been talks his whole career about he's not a guy that shows up when it matters. Devin Booker, he's had some absences in the playoffs, so there's a lot of big concerns with that. DeAndre Ayton, does he continue to be a locker room problem? Does he continue to be a team problem? Does he even more demanding now because now he's the 4th option rather than like the 2nd or 3rd at times, right? Because Kevin Durant's going to get his shots. Devin Booker's going to get his shots. Chris Paul's going to be the guy to kind of put it all together. So how is that going to go? And very likely, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up losing to some team, whether it's in the Western Conference or Milwaukee, Boston. I still think are just overall better teams. I think they're all teams that can beat the Phoenix Suns in a 7-game series if it comes down to it. I think they all match up well, especially the Bucks, right? Giannis, KD, you have Drew Holiday could guard Chris Paul rather easily, and then Chris Middleton can lock up Devin Booker. Like, I think, you have that. You have the pieces that they need. Boston, Tatum, Brown, although Brown's out right now, but he should be back come the playoff time. So you got Tatum, you got Brown, you got Marcus Smart. They match up very well against this team. So there are still teams out there that can match up and compete. I mean, even the Clippers. You made an argument the Clippers match up really good in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. You could put Kawhi Leonard on Kevin Durant, put Paul George on Devin Booker, and then just through committee put some size on Chris Paul. So, again, there are teams that can match up very well. And Phoenix gave up a lot. They gave up multiple draft picks. They gave up Cam Johnson. They gave up Mikal Bridges. I was talking about this very thing in the summer when these reports came out, and I heard everybody tell me that there's no way the Phoenix Suns are going to trade Bridges, blah, 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 blah. There's no way they trade Bridges and Cam, blah, 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 blah. And guess what? They did. Because you know why? It's Kevin Durant. If you have an opportunity to trade for Kevin Durant, and it means trading Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, who are, yes, very nice young players, they're not Kevin Durant, and they're never going to be Kevin Durant. So you trade for Kevin Durant. But personally, I think that this is a real sort of challenge still for the Phoenix Suns. They have no tradable assets for the next 10 years. Their only real way to upgrade and improve is to trade DeAndre Ayton. And if they don't plan on trading Ayton, which I think they will, and I think that they should in the offseason. You can't do it now, obviously, but in the offseason, go get because you just need a serviceable big, right? You don't need some low post 20 and 10 big man. You just need a big man that can block shots and rebound the ball on the few misses that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Chris Paul shoot, right? You don't need some dominant low post center. You don't need a Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, DeAndre Ayton, Miles Turner. You don't need something like that. You need nice, solid, just two-way center. Can he block some shots and rebound? Cool, perfect. Can he be a lob threat? Perfect. I mean, they could probably get away with JaVale McGee, something like that, or Hassan Whiteside. Just somebody that could come in and fill in the role, fill in the need. But if they don't win, they gave up a lot, and they're going to be very bad for a long time. And the Brooklyn Nets are going to be in a very good position, right? Because, you have this experiment. And look, if you win, it was all worth it, right? Phoenix has never won a championship. Think of all the great teams the Phoenix Suns have had over the years, and they have never won an NBA championship. So if you win your first NBA championship, it was all worth it. Who cares? Be terrible for the next 10 years. Who cares? You finally got that coveted championship, right? Chris Paul gets his first. Devin Booker gets his first. Kevin Durant gets his third. Everybody's happy, right? But you have these three guys, and you add Kevin Durant to this pool. And again, on the surface, you look at this and you go, man, that is terrifying. And offensively, you are spot on. This is terrifying. And maybe Ayton would be more efficient now because he has all these threats around him. But there's a lot of concerns, right? The depth. Phoenix has zero depth. Zero. I mean, they're going to be in big trouble. Now, there is the buyout market, and Phoenix is probably going to be the number one destination because all of the players that are going to get bought out, all they're going to want to play. They're going to want to be in rotation minutes and stuff. And Phoenix is going to be in an opportunity and in a position to say, hey, come here. Hey, you, Will Barton, Terrence Ross, whoever, come over. We need you. Serge Ibaka, whatever. Hey, we got minutes. You want to play? You can play. We got, 15, 20 minutes a game for you. Let's do this. We need depth. That's probably how the Phoenix Suns are going to round out their depth this season. But after this season, it's going to be very interesting because they don't have money. You got to try to now find vet minimum deals and, a mid-level or taxpayer mid-level. And then, you're buying. That's why I just think the only thing that makes sense is you trade Ayton. Use Ayton as your trade chip. You go get a free agent big man that can come in, just be serviceable. Go get a cheap big man or two that can come in. Perfect, right? There you go. And then all you need is a solid wing or two, and you're good, right? Because now you have Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Let's say you get, JaVale McGee, right? You got JaVale McGee at the center position, Kevin Durant at the 4, Chris Paul at the 1, Devin Booker at the 2, and then go get, a sizable wing. Doesn't even matter if he can shoot because you're not worried about shooting with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and Kevin Durant. You have more than enough scoring. You just need people that can defend. So if you can get a defensive wing, perfect, right? Even if it's a Stanley Johnson, just a sizable 6'8" guy that can just play some solid defense and play team defense, right? That's what you're trying to do. You got your 3 scoring guys. Booker and Chris Paul are not very good defensively. Kevin Durant is still a good defender. So you got Durant that can defend. You go get a defensive center, and you go get a defensive wing that can guard multiple positions, and you are good. You're probably the best team in the league at that point. Get some bench depth. You only need like 2 or 3 guys really off the bench, and you hope that this team can stay healthy and win a championship. But there are a lot of concerns. Again, Devin Booker, not the most reliable in big moments from what we've seen, and on top of that, he's not a guy that stayed healthy a lot. Chris Paul is only getting older. He's not the Chris Paul he once was, and he's not very reliable. Injury history. There's a lot of concerns with Chris Paul more than anything, right? If Chris Paul goes down, that could be rough because now you don't have somebody to put it all together, right? And it could get clunky. It could get awkward. Devin Booker and Kevin Durant make a world of sense because you have Chris Paul. You have somebody that can make sure everyone eats, everyone gets their pieces, everyone gets their shots, everyone's good, right? That's where this lies. But Chris Paul goes down, you're in trouble. You could be, or of course Devin Booker goes down, or Kevin Durant, right? Kevin Durant's had a lot of injury history lately. So I do think this team is scary. I think this team has a very, very good chance to win an NBA championship. I think that even right now with no defense and no depth, this is probably a top 5 team, if not maybe top 7, right? But I still think that I think it's going to be a tough task to win a championship this season. But I don't think it was about this season. I think it was about, let's get Kevin Durant now. Let's get a shot this year. If we win this year, great. If we don't, no big deal. We got Kevin Durant for, 3 more seasons or whatever, and we'll figure it out from there. Kevin Durant wants to be here. We don't have to worry about him trying to leave. You got Devin Booker. You got Chris Paul. We are good. Let's go put a team around those guys. Let's trade Ayton if we got to trade Ayton, whatever it takes, right? If guys can stay healthy, the Phoenix Suns should win a championship. If they could just stay healthy for a full season, I'm not even talking about full season, all 82. I'm talking about getting to the playoffs. Doesn't matter. Even if you're the 6th seed, just don't get into the play-in. Get into the playoffs, which you should. You should be able to be a playoff team every year. Get into the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, who cares? You'll be fine. You should win a championship at some point in the next few years. Unless Chris Paul just completely falls off a cliff, that could be a problem. Or, Devin Booker, whatever. Chris Paul and Devin Booker just don't, or not Chris Paul, Kevin Durant and Devin Booker just don't work. Something crazy like that. But on the surface, this is a team that should absolutely win. Kevin Durant got his Phoenix Suns, which he's wanted since the offseason. So now he needs to win. Because if he doesn't win, it's going to look terrible for Kevin Durant. Absolutely terrible. So anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. What do you think of this? Do you think Phoenix, best team, hands down, we're ready to go, let's make it happen? Or do you think no, they're still they're still just the team that needs the depth. They don't have the defense. There's a lot of wrong with them. I'm not really sold on them. Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I would love to hear it. So please let me know